So 2025, we all know, is going to be a year full of box office disasters on Disney's end, especially for Marvel Studios, and let's not forget about all the Disney movies in general. One of the big ones, of course, being Snow White 2025, starring actress Rachel Zegler, that's already dealing with a lot of difficulties as we speak right now. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, the thing about Rachel Zegler is that we know that there's been a lot of problems happening with the production of Snow White, and everything happening with the roles that she lost and got fired from by Disney that has stirred up a lot of drama behind the scenes. Now, the thing about Rachel Zegler, as you all know, Disney organized that infamous Variety interview with Bailey, where they specifically and intentionally paired her up with Bailey to make Zegler come across as more innocent than she really is. That was the whole plan by Bob Iger, to keep her on her best behavior. That really didn't last all that long, to be honest. We all know her social media reveals everything about herself, but what's interesting about all of this has a lot to do with what actions she is currently taking against Disney in response to all the firings from the many projects that she lost following the Snow White PR disaster that happened not too long ago. Now, what's interesting about all of this has a lot to do with the fact of many various claims that Rachel Zegler made against Disney that really is stirring up a lot of difficulties, not just for next year, but also for the next, beyond that. Now, what's interesting about this is the fact that with the Rachel Zegler drama only getting worse for Disney behind the scenes after everything that happened with the Snow White PR disaster, one significant development has to do with Disney firing Rachel Zegler from the many films that she was previously attached to, and how Rachel is taking legal action against the Disney heads. One monumental update to all of this has to do with why Rachel is taking a step forward and is reportedly already garnering a legal team to challenge Disney after she believes that she was wrongfully fired from 2 Snow White sequels before they were cancelled, along with 2 animated projects and the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot that will hold no return of Johnny Depp. Now, Rachel was said to have signed on to these projects via a contract that all went south once she collapsed the rest of Disney's image when she made those comments about Snow White and Andrew Burnap. Now, additionally, Zegler is also taking legal action against Disney as she was recently excluded and banished from making any more appearances at many major Disney-related world premieres for their films that she previously had access to before the Snow White drama stirred up. Now, Zegler is reportedly already in communication with her team, such as her agent and manager, where she has been desperately trying to get these roles reinstated. It turns out Zegler was planned to be the main lead character in the Pirates reboot that was going to have a strong connection to Captain Jack Sparrow, without the character even being in the film. This was considered to be Disney's move to make this film into a soft reboot, as opposed to a hard reboot, which would have been a complete disconnect from previous Pirates movies. Now, this film was reportedly going to be Zegler's most significant payout of all the movies that she has worked on in the past with other studios, and was the most important one to her as an actress. Disney's legal team is already getting involved with Zegler's move against them. However, shockingly, Zegler is blaming her PR disaster on Disney, and that she was told to say those things with of course Snow White 1937. With Zegler now claiming behind the scenes that this was all Disney's doing, it is becoming increasingly difficult to tell who is telling the truth at this point. The main drive for her legal stance is that her PR disaster was driven by Disney themselves that led to her firing from various projects. Though this would not be the first time Rachel has lied behind the scenes, and would not be a surprise if these claims are not valid in any way, shape, or form, Zegler is also already heading into arguments about how Disney is forcing her to become more well-behaved in interviews. Now, before I get to the big conclusion about this, guys, let me just say one thing about Rachel Zegler. Now, from her stance right now, she's claiming that the things that she said about Andrew Burnap, the things that she said about Snow White 1937, were actually orders or demands that were handed down by Disney for Rachel to say those things to kind of create some kind of disconnect from the old style of Snow White. Now, I would not be shocked, like I said before, if Rachel is just saying these things to really kind of just put herself in a more difficult situation that's going to make the whole process longer. We all know that Rachel has lied before in the past, not just to the public, but to her co-stars, and this is really not a big shocker. When you look at everything that has happened and transpired, and what was done in that infamous Variety interview where everything came across as very forced and very fake, that's because it was just that. It was very forced and fake by the Disney heads. They wanted to create this new image of Rachel Zegler that would mainly be used to drive up ticket sales later on in 2025 for Snow White, right? The live action remake, so to speak. So Rachel Zegler, again, I mean, this is a very interesting situation because the fact that she lost so many roles at Disney and how they're now being handed over to other actresses out there, she really does not seem to be taking that well. You know, yes, she had lost other roles with other studios, but she seems to take Disney's roles that she lost very personally for some reason that we may not very well be all too aware about right now. We know that Zegler, at the end of the day, is someone that really goes off on social media, especially on X and especially on Instagram, and saying all these wild things about toxic fans and fan criticism, etc. And it's just not good in general. Now, further, alright, now, such as the Variety interview that was organized by Disney themselves, and it was a desperate move to repair Disney's image in general to increase ticket sales for Snow White, which was another move by Bob Iger that is already failing. A lot of people caught on to that quite early, and as it turns out, it was organized in that nature behind the scenes. This was all done by Bob Iger, the board of directors, and everyone else involved with PR to really give Zegler this new image, so to speak. So the fact that she's blaming Disney about that Snow White PR chaos that was stirred up by herself, answering those questions and what she said about Snow White, the original of course, and Andrew Burnett, now she's going as far to say that this was all Disney telling her to say those things. And now you got this back and forth between Disney and Rachel and her team. It's interesting to say the least where this is all going to go for Snow White in March of 2025. I don't know if you guys knew this, but it was delayed from, March of next year until 2025 of the same exact month there. And it really is not looking good. We already know that they're trying to promote the CGI dwarfs now as much as possible, as opposed to the bandits that we saw in that infamous photo that got leaked out there. So what's interesting about this, guys, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.